Hello, and welcome to the Unit 1 review. This video will review everything we covered in Unit 1 earlier in the year to help prepare you for your quarterly and EOC exam. So, the first standard we're going to cover is 2.1, which is to be able to define the term citizen and also the legal means of becoming a citizen. So, we're going to define what a citizen is, and we're going to talk about if you're not a citizen, what are the legal steps you need to go through to become a citizen. So, please have a pen or pencil ready and be on the appropriate page in your packet, and let's get through Unit 1. First, let's discuss what is a citizen. A citizen is one who belongs to a certain country or state and has certain rights and obligations in that state or country. So, if in the United States, you live here, you're a citizen of the United States, you have certain rights and certain obligations. So, in any other country, if you're a citizen of that nation, you also have certain rights and obligations. So a citizen is a member of a country with rights and obligations to that country. A citizen is a member of a country with rights and obligations in that country. All countries have their own definition of citizens. So every country makes up their own rules for becoming a citizen, what is a citizen, and what rights and obligations you have as a citizen. But in the United States, our definition for citizenship comes from the 14th Amendment, which we'll cover in the next part of this video. But you need to know that a citizen is a member of a country with certain rights and obligations in that country. A member of a country with rights and obligations in that country. Make sure you put that on your guided notes. Citizenship in the U.S. Constitution. The 14th Amendment, Section 1, defines citizenship in the U.S. Constitution. So if you look in our Constitution, our rule book for the government, the 14th Amendment defines citizenship. It says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. So all people born here or naturalized. And remember, if you look at the bottom, naturalized is when a non-citizen becomes a citizen. So when you go through those steps we talked about earlier in the year to become a citizen, the naturalization process, and all persons born, which would be natural born, when they are born a member of this nation. So when you are a U.S. citizen from birth. So the 14th Amendment is where you will find the definition for citizenship in the United States. And a naturalized citizen is when a non-citizen becomes a citizen, and a natural born citizen is a person that was born a citizen of the United States. Make sure you filled in the guided notes for this section. Remember, from the 14th Amendment, it said you are either a natural born or naturalized citizen. So those are the two different methods of becoming a citizen in the United States. You're either a citizen by birth or a naturalized citizen. Now remember, earlier in the year, we talked about the two laws that determine if you are a natural born citizen. The first is the law of the blood. The person is born of a U.S. citizen parent. So, as long as one of your parents is a citizen of the United States, you will also be a natural born citizen. That's the law of the blood. And remember, the law of the soil, the person is born on U.S. soil, which would include any military bases or territories outside the United States that the United States owns. So if you are born on U.S. soil, U.S. land, you are a citizen, a natural born citizen. So to be a natural born citizen, you need to be either law of the blood, which means you are born to a U.S. citizen, or law of the soil, which means you are born on U.S. property. If you are not a natural born citizen, then you can become a naturalized citizen by going through the naturalization process. That's when a person goes through the legal steps to become a citizen. Remember the steps to the naturalization process. First, you had to apply to be a resident. Then you had to apply to become a citizen. Then you had certain things you needed to do. Well, here is a list of some of the requirements that eligible applicants have to fulfill. First, remember, you need to be of good moral character. So you can't be a criminal coming from another country and then trying to become a citizen here. You need to be able to read, write, and speak English. And you need to demonstrate basic knowledge of U.S. history and government. Remember, this is done through the citizenship test. This is a test over everything you learn in civics and U.S. history. So you got to understand the history of the United States and also the government. So these are a few of the requirements that you need to have in order to go through the naturalization process. After you've completed all these requirements and you've filled out the applications, you can then become a naturalized citizen. And remember, a naturalized citizen has all the exact same rights and responsibilities as a natural born citizen. So a naturalized citizen is equal to a natural born citizen. They're both the same under the eyes of our government. The only difference is a naturalized citizen cannot become president. By now, you should have completed the front side of your guided Cornell notes for the Unit 1 review, which covers Standard 2.1. On the back side, we're now going to cover Standard 2.2, which covers the obligations and responsibilities of citizenship. This standard says that you should be able to evaluate the obligations a citizen has to obey the laws, defend the nation, serve on juries, and pay taxes. So make sure you still have your pen or pencil ready and follow along to the end of this page. Obligations and responsibilities of citizenship. A stable society depends on citizens fulfilling their obligations and responsibilities of citizenship. Now, remember, an obligation is an action that a citizen is required to do by law. So, like serving jury duty. You have to go to jury duty if you're summoned, otherwise, you're breaking the law. Also, another obligation would be to follow the laws, obey the law. Otherwise, you're breaking the law and you'll be in trouble. Now, a responsibility is an action that something you should do for the common good. So maybe like attending a local city meeting. Stuff like that would be a responsibility. So a stable society depends on a citizen fulfilling their obligations and responsibilities means that if you want your community, your society that you live in to remain stable, peaceful, and at ease, then people need to fulfill their obligations. So they need to follow the laws and do their duties to the United States and also make sure that they do their responsibilities to keep the community a nice place. Make sure you've copied down this part of the Cornell notes before moving on with the video. Let's go over the obligations or things that you have to do as a citizen. The first is obey the laws. Everyone has to obey the laws. The laws are there to keep society peaceful. If there were no laws, it would be anarchy and people can do whatever they want, and then you wouldn't feel safe in your own home. So the laws are there to provide safety for everyone. Another is paying taxes. Taxes are needed for the government to provide functions for the people. Without taxes, the government would have no money. That money is used to build roads, schools, pay for police, firefighters, government officials, all kinds of things. The United States Army, all of those are paid for with taxes. Also, families in need, the welfare and assistance they receive comes from taxes. So, it's very important that the people pay their taxes. Also, another obligation would be to defend the nation. Now, you're not obligated or you don't have to join the U.S. Army, but all males between the ages of 18 and 25 must register with Selective Service. So if there ever is a time when the U.S. needs more people in the Army to help defend the nation, then all males, 18 to 25, can be called upon to join the Army to help keep us safe. And the last is to serve on juries. If you receive a summons or a notification in the mail saying you have jury duty, you have to show up. You are obligated to show up. If you don't show up, you will face certain punishments and fines depending on what the judge decides. So those are some of the obligations. So make sure you fill those out on your notes. Now, finally, we're going to go over some of the responsibilities of citizenship. Now, remember, responsibility, it's not something you have to do by law, but it's something you should do. The first one is voting. Everyone needs to vote, because when you vote, you're letting the government know what you want. If people don't vote, the government doesn't know what the people want, and then they do their own thing. Another would be to attend a civic meeting. So if the City of Dade City is having a meeting to discuss something that you find to be important, it's your responsibility to go to that meeting to listen and to share your ideas. Another would be petitioning the government. Petitioning the government is when you want to ask the government to change something. So it can either be a written petition, where you write it out and get signatures because you have enough supporters supporting your idea. You can meet and peacefully protest and talk about it. Those would be petitioning the government. That's your responsibility. If you want the government to change something, it's your job to ask the government to change it, because the government can't read your mind. And another responsibility would be running for office. If you feel very, very strongly about issues that govern the people, then it would be your responsibility to run for office, because then you can represent the people from your community and get those ideas talked about with the government and then maybe put into action. So, running for office is a way to get your ideas and your people, your supporters' ideas talked about and then put into action. So, these are the responsibilities. We just went over obligations. Make sure you filled all of those out on your guided Cornell notes. After you've completed that, you should be done with everything for Standard 2.2.